The Soldano Super Lead Overdrive pedal. How good is it? Well, in fact, it's pretty damn good. This isn't a paid promotion. I went out and bought this pedal, so I'm telling you the truth. No exaggerations whatsoever. This has effectively replaced my Mesa Boogie tri-axis in my Mesa Boogie rig. Apart from the fact that it's broken and I've had to send it back to California for some major repairs, this pedal is giving me something that I could never really find with the tri-axis on its own, well, not without a bit of help. The gain and the tone controls and the thickness of this, the sound that you get from this is so amp-like. It's beyond description. Anyway, today I'm going to show you an example for me that really personifies what I think of as one of the greatest SLO tones to come out of a rock album, and that's with George Lynch's Wicked Sensation album, particularly the song All I Want, coming up shortly. So stick around for that demo coming up. I also want to talk to you a bit afterwards about how I went about doing the recordings and quad tracking, give you guys a bit of information as to what you sort of have to do to recreate an iconic song like that. It's not easy, but it's worth the trouble. Anyway, let's dive into it. Here's the demo, All I Want by George Lynch. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed putting it together. Now I want to talk to you about what I had to do to achieve the tone. And in some instances it's very simple, in others not so simple. So first of all, you'll notice that there's lots of split screens. That's because I wanted to show you all that in order to get those rhythm tones, that really in your face, balls to the wall guitar tone, particularly from that album, I found minimum 4 guitars needed to be overdubbed and obviously blended. Usually what I do is I'll just do a mono track and I'll pan it left, and then I'll do the same on another mono track, put it right, and then I'll do it again left and right. So there's 2 mono tracks left, 2 mono tracks right, and you just get this massive chorused effect without even having to run chorus, you know, or any other pedals post the SLO pedal. So I want to talk to you about how I've gone from my guitar. Now, the guitar that I've used, albeit an Ibanez, doesn't have Seymour Duncan pickups in it like George used at the time, despite the fact that I've got a guitar that I specifically set up to emulate what George was using at the time of recording Wicked Sensation. I think it's another RG that I have that's loaded with a Seymour Duncan distortion in the bridge, and I can't quite remember if it's a 59 or a jazz in the neck. It might be 59, I'm not sure. But anyway, it's a phenomenal sounding guitar, but it's packed away in my bedroom, and I thought, you know what, this is a challenge. I'm going to use one of my guitars with DiMarzio's in there and see if I can capture that the essence of that guitar with a different guitar that George used. So the guitar that I've got there that you see in the demo has got DiMarzio Breed in the bridge, yes, DiMarzio Breed, and DiMarzio PAF Pro in the neck. Love the pickups. They're not nearly as high gain or trebly as the Duncan distortion. So what I did to get the rhythm sound now is I use my Exotic Pedals AC Plus booster. So that's a dual boost overdrive pedal. I've only used the boost side. It has a bit of gain that you can access on it as well, but really I used it as a clean boost, and I've not attenuated, I've actually boosted some of the mids and the trebles to emulate the extra treble that the Duncan distortion has. So that's the first part. So I'm pushing the SLO pedal with my boost pedal with a bit of extra upper mids and treble and volume. For that reason, you don't have to have the gain on the SLO pedal all the way up. Although the pedal itself has got a tremendous amount of gain, more than you'd ever need, I found that winding it back, especially for the rhythm tones, I think I wound it back to about 5. That pushing it with the pedal just tightened it up a bit, made it more focused and more pleasant sounding. Obviously, sometimes you don't want to be overly saturated, especially when you're multi-tracking, because your tone, well, the perception of gain increases the more you multi-track. So it doesn't have to be all the way up. Quickly talk about the settings that I used on the rhythm tone. So on the rhythm tone, the presence, which is similar to the presence you might find on a power amp, was around about half. So around about half, 5.5. By the way, everything on this goes up to 11, which is really cool. And the treble about 5.5 as well. Didn't want to make it too brittle, because when it came time to doing the solo, that's when I boosted the presence and the treble up. So there's a bit of a point of difference there as well. Middle is all the way up. It gives it that really thick, juicy, it doesn't give it a honk. This is not the sort of middle that adds honk to the guitar tone. It adds body and just a really beautiful vocal quality to your guitar. The beauty about this pedal as well, it has the depth button, which adds extra low end, not woofiness, but low end, and it doesn't make the guitar feel muddy or mushy. So that was engaged. I had the bass wound back a little bit, so probably down to about 9. So obviously that is getting pushed by my AC plus boost side pedal into the Soldano pedal. From there, I go into an EQ pedal. And the reason why I've gone into an EQ pedal is because I haven't used a cabinet in this demo. It's all IRs from my 2 Notes Cab M IR pedal. And there's just something that you can't quite replace on an IR pedal like that than miking up an actual cab. It has its advantages and there are some disadvantages. So I've really just used the EQ pedal, my Ibanez 7-band graphic equalizer, just to push the 6.4K a tad, maybe 2 dB, and the 400 hertz is up about 2 or 3 dB as well, just to give it a bit of low-mid boost, and the 200 is about up by about a dB as well. So this kind of gave it that feeling that sometimes when I use IRs, I feel like the guitar is a little bit anemic, but by boosting those frequencies, I felt like it became more amp-like, like I was actually hearing it from my Mesa Boogie cabinet. So from that pedal there, I go into my Boss NS2 noise gate, which just clamps. It's not set really high. It's surprisingly, this pedal is not a very noisy pedal at all for the amount of gain that it has. So the noise gate there is just to cut off the notes gently as I'm playing them. It doesn't need to be fast cut off. It's not like I'm doing any djenting or anything like that in this song. And then from there, I'm going into, for the rhythm tone that is, I'm going into my Cab M by 2 Notes, set up with the 6L6 power amp in pentode mode, and the Mesa Boogie Celestion Vintage 30 quad box IR. And I think I've used the SM7B and the SM57 microphones in the Cab M pedal as well. Obviously, you know, you're going to have to tweak it to suit your own palate and your own ears to your own liking. I've also then gone into my mixer and I've added some frequencies and taken away some frequencies depending on which parts I was doing. So for example, the rhythm tone didn't need to be too bright, so I only boosted the 12K a little bit, the 2.5K a little bit, and the bass is neutral. I think I've got the low cut button engaged on the mixer as well, just to attenuate anything below 80 hertz. Okay, so that's pretty much the rhythm tone. So it's really just the boost pedal, the gain set a bit lower on this, into my 2 Notes, 4 takes, and you've got the rhythm tone. There is a small clean-ish sort of tone that's just after the intro when there's the volume swelling happening. The volume swell section, we'll get to how I set my rig up in a second for the lead tones and those, the echo and the delay, the reverb settings. But the other setting on this one here, so the cleaner section, I've got the gain down to about 2. I mean, you could use your volume pot on your guitar, but I decided to just use the gain knob on this one here, just for that small few seconds that I needed for that particular line in the song. All right, now this is the complicated part. How do I achieve my lead tone? This is where it gets complicated because the lead tone, especially the solo, wasn't double tracked. It was single guitar. So how do you use those how can you use those tips or techniques that the music producers and engineers do in the studio to make a really wide sounding guitar, make it sound big, make it sound spatial and in your face and stand out from the rhythm guitars? Well, I've been of noodling around and tweaking with my own gear. I found a bit of a cheat, so I want to share it with you as well. So quickly about the pedal again. So I'll go from the start again as to how I'm running the guitar signal. So the guitar into the pedal, into my AC plus boost pedal. But this time for the lead tone, the volume is boosted up all the way, and I've added just a little bit of extra dirt to it, just a little bit of extra dirt. The gain I've stuck up about 7 on the SLO pedal. The bass is all the way, the deep switch is in. The middle is all the way up. The treble and the presence was set at around about 8.5 each. That just gives it some hair. Yeah, really bitey. One thing I love about George Lynch's tone is that there was always sort of a high frequency that he was always able to get, almost like a pinched harmonic when he picks. This pedal really helps you get that too, I have to say. So that goes, my pedal again goes into my EQ pedal. I didn't touch the settings on that again, it's still boosted in the same areas. Now here's where it gets complicated. So I wanted to simulate a wet, dry, wet situation to get that big, wide stereo solo guitar sound. So what I did is I had at my disposal, the first in line is to split my signal was my TC Electronics Mimic pedal that John Petrucci actually uses now as part of his live rig to help get a really sort of big, sort of double tracked sort of sound. So what I've actually done is the TC Electronic Mimic pedal. It's not unlike a chorus pedal, but it's more random, so it doesn't, oscillate perfectly. It randomizes everything to simulate what it would be like to have someone else or yourself playing a second guitar part or double tracking. So I've got this set on the absolute minimum setting. So there's what's it called? The tightness knob is all the way down. So it's on the least amount of randomness possible. Now I'm only going into it mono, and from the stereo out, because it's a stereo out pedal, from the stereo out, the second out, I'm going, that signal, that's the dry signal with no doubling effect whatsoever. That is going into my cab M pedal, which is giving me my most dry cab IR sound, the most predominant sound that you hear, and that is going directly into the mixer, and it's set to center, right, so equally left and right. Now, to get the wet signal, what have I done? So from the affected signal of the TC Electronics pedal, the Mimic, I go into my Tech 21 Richie Kotzen RK5, where I simulate a similar cab IR tone with the actual SansAmp function on that particular pedal. And to be honest, I was pretty happy with it. It's good to have a slightly different tone when you're running the wet effects. You might want to take a bit of high end off or take a bit of bass off, just to give it a bit of a tonal difference. That's what I've found actually helps to improve the sonic quality of your lead tones. So, but that pedal fortunately also has a delay and a reverb. And whilst they don't have a huge amount of parameters that you can tweak, the reverb is really just either a short reverb or a long reverb, and then you can adjust the level, the mix. And the delay, it's pretty simple. You can adjust your time. Now, for the time setting on this delay pedal, I've set the same beat as the song, dun, 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 dun. So it's a slow repeat, and it's probably set to about 5 or 6 repeats, I think, maybe a little bit more. Now the trick is here, almost tried to run it as almost like kill dry. So it's almost, the reverb is almost all the way up and the delay level is almost all the way up to emulate that kill dry effect. So your pure sound is coming from my cab M pedal into the center, and my Richie Kotzen fly rig is producing the wet sounds. Now, how do I turn that into stereo? It's only a mono pedal. This is the trick I've discovered. Now, most people wouldn't usually do it. You know, the general rule of thumb is to run your chorus pedal. Chorus modulation usually comes before time-based effects. But, you know, who wrote the rules? I certainly didn't write them, and I like to experiment and push boundaries where I see fit. Anyway, so I'm running a really simple chorus pedal. It's the MXR analog chorus pedal. It's only got a mono input. So I go from my Richie Kotzen RK5 by Tech 21 into my MXR analog chorus pedal. From there, I'm going stereo out to a left channel on my mixer and a right channel on my mixer. So the through is sending a more raw tone from the Richie Kotzen, the delay and the reverb, and the mono plug is sending the chorus effect. So it's almost what I feel like it's doing is a trick that they would do in the studios back then by running two choruses into each other to get these crazy guitar tones that were made famous for that era. So basically, like I said, the TC Electronics Mimic pedal is not unlike a chorus pedal, but not quite the same. But then I'm also running a chorus pedal, a stereo chorus pedal after it, but post reverb and delay. And I just found that it was such an enjoyable feeling. I didn't have to do any tweaking of the tracks post-production. I didn't have to shift, you know, something a few milliseconds because the delay, not the delay pedal, the chorus pedal pretty much does it within the pedal itself. So I honestly feel like you should give it a go. If you've got a stereo chorus pedal, try using it to split your signal after your time-based effects even, or your IR pedal. If you've got an IR pedal like the 2 Notes Cab M, run it after it to get a dual sound. Experiment. There's no rules. You know, the worst thing that can happen is it's going to sound terrible, but at least you've learned something in the process. Anyway, so that pretty much covers the lead tone. Oh, I should mention that. So the bass setting for the Cab M IR doesn't change for the lead tone, but I did change a few of the settings on the mixer as well. So I've added a little bit more 12K just to give it a bit more air, a little bit more 2.5K, and I believe, yeah, no, I didn't touch the bass knobs on the mixer when it came to the lead tones at all. Now, some of you might think that the guitar tone is a little bit too wet, but bear in mind, I've done this without amps, without rack gear or studio gear. I've done it with the pedals that I had available to me. I just wanted to see how close I could get it, and to be honest, I'm pretty happy with the results. I mean, even if I did away with crikeys, what could I get away with having? Actually, I don't think I could get away with not having any of that stuff in line. Look, maybe I could have gotten away with not having the noise gate because the Cab M has its own inbuilt noise gate into it. Maybe I could have gotten rid of my exotic boost pedal, the AC Plus, if I'd have used the original guitar that was designed to sound like George's guitar, the ESP that he used on that album with the Seymour Duncans, because it's a brighter, much more liquidy type gain that you get from that I get from that guitar. And yeah, so look, and I probably could have done away with the EQ pedal, my graphic EQ pedal that comes in after the SLO pedal. I probably could have done that tweaking within the 2 Notes IR because it's got a parametric EQ in there that you can tweak as well. all I did in that EQ is I did some shelving. I did a high pass filter and a low pass filter to get rid of some low end and some high end past 8K, just to take away some of those nasty frequencies and just to smooth out the guitar tone a bit. Look, I mean, I could go on forever about you know, the guitar tone and this pedal. All I can really say is how impressed I am by it. It just felt like I was home. This is a sound that I've been searching for such a long time. Now I have to say though that it's made me rethink a little bit the nature of my Mesa Boogie gear. Now the tri-axis that I bought the Symbol 290 and obviously the Mesa Boogie 4x12 cabinet, and they're all meant to go together, and they work really well together. It's a great sounding rig, but they're all voiced and set up to be the perfect companions to each other. Is the Soldano SLO pedal, does it really suit the darkness and the of the Symbol 290 and the Mesa Boogie cabinet? Maybe not. I think what I've discovered that it needs probably a brighter type of power amp and speakers. One thing that I did do, and I might do in the future as well, is I had a quick listen to what it sounded like through the EL34 power amp response from the 2 Notes cab M pedal, and also I went and bought the Yngwie Malmsteen's Celestion impulse response from his Marshall cabinet. I think the G12 something or other. Fantastic sounding speaker cabinet, but it's much brighter. It covers much more of the frequency spectrum. It's definitely it definitely hits you in the face, that sound. Unfortunately, the Mesa Boogie tone is dark. It's very mid-scooped. It doesn't have the same sonic qualities as a Marshall, and I think maybe this pedal might be better suited to it. But having said that, you know, using the 6L6 IR response in the pedal and the Celestion Vintage 30s, I still managed to get, I'm going to say 80-85% there. It'd be really interesting to actually do some mic'd cabinet testing with this pedal and my Mesa Boogie, using a variety of microphones that I have available at my disposal. I'm also wouldn't mind testing and doing some videos using the L34 and the Marshall cab as well. Yeah, and just continue to explore the sonic possibilities of this particular pedal here, because it's not going to leave my pedal board anytime soon. I bought this pedal, funny enough, at the exact same time as picking up a second-hand Carl Martin Plexitone. That's the 3-button version that Greg Howe uses, because I absolutely love Greg Howe's tone. And honestly, that is like, it is modded. It's modded Marshall Plexi goodness in a pedal. I can't. It's just it has some similar liquidy qualities to the SLO pedal, because I mean, I guess the SLO pedal, SLO was kind of designed on a sort of maybe a hot rodded Marshall, I guess, possibly. I'm not quite sure what they had in mind, what Soldano had in mind when he voiced the original Soldanos. I've heard that some people say that the SLO was really just the rectifier, Mesa Boogie's dual rectifier or single rectifier preamp clone, but with a different different gain staging and power amp and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, I don't know. But the Plexitone pedal is a fantastic sounding pedal as well. It's a bit brighter than this. It doesn't have the same kind of gain. It's not really as thick and chewy as the SLO pedal, but they're both fantastic pedals. I'm in heaven with both these pedals, and I look forward to doing some more covers and doing some more experimenting with it. Anyway, look, like I said, I can just keep on going, keep on talking. But at the end of the day, you won't know how good this pedal is until you give it a try. It's fantastic. Just go out and buy it and plug it in, for goodness sake. Do it now. I told you.